namang karmani limpanti name karma phalispriha iti mangyo vijanati karma bhi na sa baddhate. Now, you can come please forward. Yes. Yes. Come forward. There is nothing. You can come. Karma bhi sana baddhate. Now, the whole world is bound by his own karma action. Everyone, every living entity. In the Brahma Samhita, there is a nice verse about this. There is a nice verse just to beginning from the jar. There is a jar which is called Indra Gop. You know that among the living entities, the jars are in very minute form. You cannot see even with your microscope. In a space of 1 millimeter, you can find millions of germs. That is scientific truth. So beginning from the germs, which are called, please stop. Beginning from the germs up to the heavenly kingdom, the king of heaven is called Indra. And the smallest, minutest germ, it is also called Indra Gop in Sanskrit language. So, in the Brahma Samhita, it is said that beginning from this Indra up to that Indra, that means beginning from the germ which is known as Indra Gop, up to the point of the king who is also known as Indra, all of them are bound up by the reaction of his own karma on his own work. Every work which we are doing, good or bad, we have to suffer and enjoy the reaction of our work. And so long we have to suffer or enjoy the reaction of our work, as long as we shall go on like this, so long we have to accept this material body. This material body is just given to us by the arrangement of nature's law for the exact status of suffering or enjoyment. Just like you have seen different animals, they have got different process of eating. Say for tiger, their body is made for eating raw flesh and raw blood. So all the body is so made that they have got particular nails and jaws and teeth so that they can do that. Similarly, you can see the hog, they have to eat the stool, or they have got a particular shape of mouth so that they can easily do that. Now we are human beings. We are meant for taking vegetables and fruits. Now our teeth is just like knife which can cut the vegetables and the fruits. So all these bodies I mean to say, I am giving particular stage to the body. A king's body, a poor man's body, a poor man, he has to work very hard. His body is very sturdy, he can work very nicely. But a son of very aristocratic family or king, his body is very delicate, he cannot work. He can apply his brain in something else. So long these bodies are made according to the different status of our work we have done in our past life. And next body is being prepared according to the work which we are doing now. But here Krishna says that as soon as one can understand the transcendental nature of Krishna's activities, he becomes free from the reaction of activity. Now here is the question, that because we are now preparing ourselves to have our spiritual body or spiritual life develop and being free from this material existence, therefore our duty should be such so that we may not be entangled again into this material body. That can be made possible if we are Krishna conscious. If we study Krishna, what is Krishna, what are his transcendental activities, how his energies are acting in this material world or spiritual world, all this, it is a great science. Krishna is a great science. So if we study Krishna science with great attention, then the result will be that we shall be free from the reaction of our activity. This is clearly said here. Namang karmani limpanti name karmas phalisvya. The Lord has nothing to do. He is full. He has nothing to do. But why he does? Just to set example. Set example. He is not bound up by the works which he is doing in the material world. This science has to be learned. Name karmas phalispriya. And anyone who understands the transcendental nature of Krishna, he is also becoming free from the reaction of karma. Evam gyatta kitam karma purvairupi mumuksuvi kuru karmaiva tasmattam purvai purvatarang kritam. Now the whole spiritual process is to follow the example of the previous acharyas who have attained to the success. These boys, where from they come, they disturb. Evam gatta kritam karma purvaivavi mumuksuvi kuru karmaiva tasmattam purvai parvatarang kritam. Now there are Arjuna, and Krishna is advising Arjuna that if you act and following the footprints of the previous acharyas and previous great devotees and kings who had done in their life karma yoga, acting for Krishna, if you follow that principle, then you shall also become free from the reaction of activity. Because Arjuna was very much afraid for being entangled in the reaction of his fighting. Krishna therefore assures that you shall not be, if you follow, if you act, or if you fight for my sake, then you will not be entangled by the reaction of karma. King karma king karmeti, king karma king akarmeti, kavayopi atra mohita, tatte karma pravakshami jasgyata mokshasi asuha. Now, people are misled. What is karma? What is actually work? And what is not work? Akarma. King karma king akarmeti, kavayopi. Kavaya means great sages great saintly persons, great philosophers, they are also sometimes bewildered to understand what class of activities are genuine and what class of activities are non-genuine. Therefore Krishna says that I shall teach you what are genuine activities and what are non-genuine activities. Tatte karma pravakshami jajgata mokshasi asubha. Jajgata, if you understand the principle of working, then you shall get free from the bondage, material bondage. We have to work in such a way that we may not be entangled with this material bondage. Otherwise, as we have explained, this body is our material bondage and it is the result of our activities. So we have to perform our activities so nicely and so cautiously so that I may not be entangled, I may be free even in this life, and tattadiham punarjanmanaiti, I can, after leaving this present body, I will have no more to come into this material world. This science is being taught by Krishna to Arjuna. And the whole activity is that if we engage ourselves, as we find it in the 11th chapter, last verse, mat karma krit mat paramo mat bhakta sangavarjita nidvaira sarvabhuteshu jasa mameti pandava. Now, this one verse is sufficient to teach the essence of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that anyone who is engaged in my work, mat karma krit. Then what is that my work? That my work is explained in the last word of the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita, the sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja. Arjuna is taught, and with the example of Arjuna, every one of us is taught that we have to work only which is sanctioned by Krishna. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja. That is the mission of human life. But we do not know that. We do not know that. And because we do not know that, we engage ourselves with so many work which is concerned with the bodily and material concepts of life. So mat karma krit. So one has to do what Krishna desires. Just like Arjuna did. Krishna desired that he should fight. Arjuna did not like to fight, but because Krishna desired, he accepted to fight. This is Krishna's work. That we have to select. Now, what is the work at the present moment for us? Krishna's work. Krishna is not present now to dictate that this is my work. Just like Arjuna was fortunate enough. He was personally present before Arjuna. Lord Krishna was personally present and he was directing. But that does not mean that we have no direction. We have direction. We have direction. In the Bhagavad Gita you will find that anyone who preaches the gospel of Bhagavad Gita to the people of the world, he is the most dear, the dearest person in the world to Krishna. Krishna accepts him, the dearest person. So therefore, our duty is to preach the principles of this Bhagavad Gita, to make people Krishna conscious. People are suffering for want of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, each and every one of us should be engaged in the preaching work of Krishna consciousness for the benefit of the whole world. Lord Chaitanya, whose picture you see in the front of this store, Lord Chaitanya very nicely preached this philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Amar aggay guru haiya taro sarvadesh, jare dekho tare kaha Krishna upadesh. The Lord says, Amar aggay, because he came with this mission to preach Krishna consciousness. So he says, just take my order and all of you, he become the spiritual master, Guru Hayya. Anyone who teaches people Krishna consciousness, never mind what he is and where he is, he is to be understood the spiritual master. So Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya gives order to everyone that Amar Agga Guru Hayya Taru Sarvadesh. Every country, province, you go everywhere and just preach this Krishna consciousness. Amar Agga Guru Hayya Taru Sarvadesh. Jare Dakho Tare Ka Krishna Upadesh. Krishna Upadesh means this Bhagavad Gita. The instruction given by Krishna. That is Krishna Upadesh. And Krishna Upadesh is also Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of instruction by which one can become Krishna conscious. Similarly, in the Bhagavad Gita also, we receive the instruction how we can become Krishna conscious. So Lord Chaitanya selects these very two particular books, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and he asked everyone in any part of the world to take up this matter very seriously and preach in the world. That is the direct order of Krishna. So if we take up this missionary work to preach Bhagavad Gita as it is, without any interpretation, and without any motive behind it, as it is, as Krishna said, we should present as it is. People misrepresent Bhagavad Gita by their own interpretation. That should not be done. Bhagavad Gita as it is should be presented before the people of the world. They are suffering for want of Krishna consciousness. And as soon as they become Krishna conscious, their life becomes happy. So this is the mission of this society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. As Krishna advises, Sangha Varjita. You should not have any attraction or any attachment for these worldly activities. If you have got attachment or attraction for these material activities, then you cannot have Krishna, you cannot become Krishna conscious. But that does not mean you should be inimical to the people of the world. No. It is your duty to give them the highest instruction, spiritual instruction, that you become Krishna conscious. And try your best. Try your best. Nidvaira. You should not be anyone's enemy. Others may become your enemy. Because it is quite natural. Anyone who comes with the message of the Supreme Lord, there are persons who become his enemy. Just like Lord Jesus Christ, he came. His only fault was that he was preaching the message of God. And people, some people, not all people, became his enemy and he was crucified. This is the world. Anyone who comes as the most, I'm going to say, beneficial friend of the world, people take him as the enemy. And they do the same mistake again, so that they are bound up again by their own work, and they remain in this material world to repeat birth and death, one after another, one after another. So we should be very much cautious. We should not miss this chance of this human body to become Krishna consciousness, to become conscious of Krishna. So, therefore, we must know how to work. How to work. King karma, king akarmeti. If we do not know how to work, then we shall be entangled in these material activities. Therefore Krishna says, Sangavarjit. Of course, a Krishna conscious person, he also acts just like another material actor. But because he was in Krishna consciousness, therefore he is not bound up. Just like, take the example of Arjuna. He also fought just like ordinary military man. But because he fought in Krishna consciousness, therefore he was not bound up by the reaction of such fighting. Fighting is not necessary. Fighting is not necessary. Peace is necessary. But sometimes peace is disturbed. At that time, fighting is also necessary. You cannot absolutely give up the process of fighting in this material world. That is not possible. Because there are persons who will create trouble, just like we are experiencing. We are not going to do any harm to anybody, but sometimes they are coming and creating disturbance. So these disturbing elements are there, and this is always there. The material nature is like that. Therefore, fighting cannot be abolished when it is necessary, absolutely necessary. In the battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna advocated this fighting because it was absolutely necessary. So anything, it does not matter what it is, when it is sanctioned by Krishna, it has no reaction. That is the real war. Other anything which we do, which may be very good work in the estimation of this material world, but that is bound to make you entangled in this material world. This secret one should learn. Karmano japi bodhabbang bodhabbang cha vikarmana akarmanascha bodhabbang gahano karmano gati. Karmano gati, the path of karma is very intricate. Therefore one should understand what is actually karma and what is akarma and what is vikarma. Knowing this, one should perform karma. But one thing is that if we simply engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness, then everything becomes clear. Otherwise, we have to make discrimination, what I should do, what I should not do, so that I may not be entangled. Just like in ordinary life, whatever we do, we sometimes we may unconsciously doing something which is against the law, and therefore we become bound up by the laws of the state, and sometimes we are in trouble. Similarly, in the laws of nature also, the laws of nature is very strict. There is no excuse. The laws of nature is very stringent. Just like the fire. Fire, it burns, that is natural. This is the law of nature. So even a child, it touches fire. The fire does not excuse that because it is child, his hand may not be burned. No, that is not possible. So we have to make our work very cautiously. We have to select our work very cautiously. Otherwise, the stringent laws of nature will react and we shall be bound by the laws of material nature and suffer. The Lord says, the karmano jopi bodhabham, one should understand how to work and one should understand what is not to be done. Akarmanascha bodhabham. Karmanopi bodhabham bodhamancha vikarma. Karma, akarma, vikarma. There are three things. Karma means prescribed duties. Prescribed duties. That is called karma. And akarma, vikarma means doing against the prescribed duties. That is called vikarma. And akarma means something doing which has no reaction. That is not, of course, in the execution of such work, it appears to be working, but practically it has no reaction. That is vikarma. And that vikarma is when we act on account of the Supreme, that is, when we Krishna karma, when we work under the direction of Krishna, that has no reaction. Otherwise, karma one should do prescribed duties, and one should not do which is not prescribed. For example, just like the state has got some laws. Now, suppose if you commit murder, you will be hanged. That is the state law. So, if you against the state law, you commit some murder, you will be hanged. This is bikarma. And I should be cautious. But when the state orders itself that you go and fight, kill the enemy, that is neither karma nor bikarma. But similarly, when we act under the direction of Krishna, that is akarma. That means that karma, that kind of activity has no reaction. Otherwise, we shall have to act very cautiously so that I may not be entangled with the reaction of my karma. कर्मणि अकर्मा ज पश्येत अकर्मणि च ज कर्म स बुद्धिमान मनुष्येषु स युक्त कृष्ण कर्म की. Now here is a nice verse. The Lord says, one who can see karmani akarma, any work which is being done but it has no reaction. Karmani akarma, I am doing something but the ultimate result of that work has no reaction. One who can see like that, karmani akarma ja pasyet akarmani cha ja karma. And akarmani means one who is trying to avoid the reaction of karma, but he is being entangled in karma. Sa buddhiman manusyeshu, he is the most intelligent person. Sa yukta Krishna karma kit, so he is adopted the Krishna consciousness, and therefore after doing so many work, Krishna and all sorts of work, still he is free. Karmani akarma, even working, just see the Arjuna is fighting, and the other party, Duryodhana is also fighting. Now, how you can understand that the Arjuna is free from reaction, but Duryodhana is not free from reaction? The fighting is both parties are fighting. Externally, ephemerally, we can see simply that they are fighting. But who is bound up by reaction, who is not bound up by reaction? Arjuna is not bound up by reaction. Why? He is fighting under the order of Krishna. So we have to see like that. Who is working with Krishna consciousness? Anyone who is working Krishna consciousness, we should see that he is not being bound up. This is called karmani akarma. Akarma means which has no reaction. So although I see somebody is working, but because he is working in Krishna consciousness, therefore it should be understood that his work is not producing any reaction. So this intelligent vision is recommended here by Krishna. The sa buddhiman, anyone who is working and who can see such work, who can understand such work, sa buddhiman manusyeshu. In the human society, he is very intelligent. Otherwise, sometimes bhakti, the devotional service of the Lord, just like I'll give you a crude example, just like a boy, he is flying kite and he is moving his reel containing the thread. Now, from a distant place, you will find that he is moving in thread, but moving his reel. But sometimes moving his reel is getting down the kite, and moving his reel, he is getting higher and higher the kite. So from distance place, we can see that there is moving of the reel, but the action is different. Similarly, simply by seeing the movement of a person, that he is also acting, that is not final judgment. We have to see what sort of acting he is doing. He is acting in Krishna consciousness, if we can see a person is acting in Krishna consciousness, then we can understand that he is free from the reaction. And if he is not acting Krishna consciousness, but externally, from our material estimation, we can see that, oh, he is doing very good work. He is doing good. Just like Arjuna, when he first refused to work, refused to fight, then, my dear Krishna, it is not possible for me to fight with my relatives, brothers. I am not going to fight. This, from material estimation, this conclusion, this decision of Arjuna is very good. Very good. So, materially, from material standpoint of view, that he is not going to commit violence. He is non-violent. He is very good man. But from spiritual point of view, it is not so. From spiritual point of view, it is not. So one has to see simply by external features that one is working and one is not working. That we can. What is the standard of one? Under what consciousness is working? If he is working in material consciousness, then he is being bound up. However good may be that work, he is being bound up. Now what is the binding reaction of good material work? Just try to understand. The good material work, suppose you have done most charitable work, munificent work, and you have started so many, philanthropic institutions. That's all right. These from material estimation, these things are very good work, but you are being bound up. You are being bound up. In which way you are being bound up? That these things are called punya karma, pious work. When you do pious work, you get 4 results. What are the 4 results? Janma Aishajya Sutasri. Janma Aishajya Sutasri. If you do pious work, you can get reaction in 4 ways. You can get your birth in a very nice family. Just like in the family of a Brahmin, in the family of a rich man, for pious work one can get Janma. And Aishajya. Aishajya means you can become very rich man by pious work. Janma Aishajya Suta. Suta means you can become very learned scholar. These are the results of pious work. Janma Aishajya Sutas and Sri. You can become very beautiful by pious work. These are the results of pious work. Similarly, just the opposite. If you do vicious work, then you have to go to the lower class family or even the animal family, lower class bird, or become a fool, illiterate, and become not very good looking, so many things. That these are the reaction of pious and vicious work. Now, taking it for granted that I am doing all pious work, that's all right, and I am getting my birth in a very rich family or very pure family, just like Brahmin family or something like that. I am getting myself very good education, I am very beautiful to see, and I am very rich man, all these. But our point is that suppose if you are rich man, suppose if you are very learned man, but you are not free from the stringent laws of material world. The whole point of vision should be targeted there, that I am not going to be under the stricture of this material world. If we miss that point, then we shall be captivated by this aristocratic family, or a good education, or beautiful body, or richness, we shall be. One should understand that in spite of having all these facilities of material life, I am not free from 4 things. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. I am not free from 4 these things, material laws of nature. What is that? I am not free from repeated birth and death. I am not free from old age. I am not free from diseases. Therefore Krishna has recommended in the Bhagavad Gita that Abrahma Bhuvanan Lokan Puradavartin Arjuna. My dear Arjuna, if you go up to the highest planet, which is called Brahmaloka, where there is long duration of life and all other enjoyments, they are thousands and thousands times better than enjoyment here. But still, Abrahma Bhuvanan Lokan Puradavartin, then you have to come again. The repetition of birth and death is there also. Therefore your aim should be Madha Jadgatyana Nivartante Tadhama Paramamama. You have to go back to my planet, my kingdom. That will make you perfect. So this work, good work or bad work from the material point of view, may be superficially very good. But how long I shall remain a rich man? How long I shall remain a beautiful man? This is not my permanent life. Suppose if my life is for 100 years, so I can remain a rich man, I can remain a learned man, I can remain a rich man, beautiful man, say for 50 or 60 or 100 years. But your life is not for 100 years or 60 years or thousands years or millions of years. You are eternal. You have to attain your eternal life. That is the whole problem. That problem you have to solve. That problem can be solved when you are Krishna conscious. So that by Krishna conscious, when you leave this body, you will no more have to come to this material world and accept this material body or suffer and enjoy thereof. That is the point. The point is very difficult for common man, but this is the point. This is the point. I have to avoid this material existence altogether. That is the point. It is not the question of improving my material condition. That is not the solution. If I just like in a prison house, if you want to improve your condition, you become a very good prisoner and the government gives you A-class status. There are 3 classes of status in prison life. Some are suffering the prison life in the A-class status. Some of them are suffering in the B-class status. There are also classes. Just like when some political leader is put into prison, they are given A-class status. But a sane man should not be satisfied by becoming an A-class prisoner. A-class prisoner. So we are in this material world. Some of us are in the A-class prisoner, some of us are B-class prisoner, some of us are C-class prisoner. So to become an A-class prisoner from C-class prisoner is not the solution of our problem. The problem should be solved that let me become completely free from the prison life. That is the whole problem. Karmani akarma japashet, akarmani cha jakarma, sa buddhiman manusyeshu, sa jikta krishna karma. Anyone who can understand the process of karma, the process of work in this way, is the most intelligent person in this world. Most intelligent person. Not that a person who has passed MA, PhD examination from the university of any country. The person who understands this problem of life, he is the most intelligent person. That we should learn. He is the most intelligent person. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa burjita jnanagni dagdha karvanam tamahu pandita buddha. Pandita means learned, and Buddha means one who is well versed. He is called Buddha. Buddha, this very term, you will find in another place of Bhagavad Gita, in the 10th chapter, Buddha Bhava Samannita. Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvang pravartate iti matya bhajante mam Buddha Bhava Samannita. That Buddha you will find in the 10th chapter. And the same Buddha, Pandita and Buddha. Pandita, according to Bhagavad Gita, Pandit means learned man, the Sanskrit word. Pandit means, and Buddha is well versed. Now who is well versed and who is Pandit? A very learned man from by academic education may not be a learned man according to the view of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita says he is the learned man who can see everyone on the equal footing, equal level. Vidya Vinaya Sampanni Brahmani Gavi Hastini Suni Checha Sapakecha Pandita Samadarsan. A Pandita can see. Pandit means a learned man can see that here is a learned Brahmin. In India, according to Vedic civilization, a learned Brahmin is considered to be the topmost man in human society. So therefore, he is taking the example that here is a very learned Brahmin, Vidya Vinaya Sampanni Brahmani. Not only he is Brahmin, but he is very gentle. Vidya means, what is the result of Vidya? Education means one becomes gentleman. That is the result of Vidya. If one is not a gentleman, then his learning is not accepted according to the Vedic literature. So Pandita means that one he is learned and gentle. So another Pandit says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanni, a Brahmin, learned and gentle. Vidya Vinaya Sampanni Brahmani Gobi, and a cow. Vidya Vinaya Sampanni Gobi and an elephant. And Sapake cha Sunichecha. Sapake means there is a class of men who eats dog. They are counted amongst the lower class in India. Sapake cha Sunicha. Sunicha means dog. But dog also not taken very good animal in the society. But a Pandita, either a dog, either a cow, either an elephant, either a dog eater, or a learned Brahmin, he sees all of them on the same level. That is Pandita. Why he sees on the same level? Do you mean to say that a learned Brahmin, a high class Brahmin, he is just like as good as a dog? No. A learned Brahmin is not as good as a dog. But how then the Pandita sees on the equal footing? Because he does not see on the skin, but he sees on the spirit. Therefore he is Pandita. One who has learned this art to see any living being, only the spirit he sees. That here is a living being. He is a spiritual spark, he is a spirit soul, but he has got a different body on. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that Vasamshi Jinnani, this body is just like our dress. Suppose a very learned man has come in a shabby dress. Do you think that he should be disordered? If he is known, of course. Just like our this sannyasi dress, it is not very costly dress. It is a loin cloth, it is very cheap. But sometimes people misunderstand that here is a beggar, and sometimes we are respected. So, simply by dress we should not see any living entity. Whether either he is a dog or he is in the estimation of the society, a lower class man or a very high class man or a cow, but we shall see that here is a spirit soul. Anyone who can understand the spiritual vision of life, he is Pandita. He is Pandita. And according to Chanakya Pandit, Chanakya, he was a great politician, and he says that what is the standard of education? Standard of education. Now he has given very nice 3 words. 3 words for standard of education. Who is perfect in education? He says, Mathrivat paradareshu paradrabbeshu losavat atvat sarvabhuteshu ja pashyati sa pandita. Pandita, this Pandita. This Pandita, explanation of Pandita. Now, who is a Pandita? Now, Mathrivat paradareshu. He is the learned man who sees all women as his mother. Except one's married wife, one should see every woman as his mother. Mathrivat, Matri means mother, Vat means just like. Mathrivat paradareshu, paradareshu means other woman, except one's own wife, married wife. Mathrivat paradareshu paradrabbeshu lostrava. And others' property should be accepted just like refuse garbage in the street. Just like we don't care for all the garbages. Simply, if others' money or others' property is there, sometimes we hanker, we should think, oh, this are nonsense. Just like garbage. Mathrivat paradareshu paradrabbeshu lostravat atmavat sarvabhuteshu. And lostra means that rubbles, just like stone rubbles. You see, there are so many rubbles and the stone over the street. Nobody cares for that. Similarly, if others' money is thrown over the street, nobody, he should not care. He should not collect. Oh, there is some money, let me take. So, Mathrivat paradareshu paradrabbeshu lostravat atmavat sarvabhuteshu. And he should see everyone. This atmavat sarvabhuteshu was preached by Lord Buddha. This philosophy, this one philosophy was taught throughout the whole world by Lord Buddha, that there should be no animal killing. Atma sarvabhutesh. No living entity should be given suffer, even by words. That is real life. Atma japashyati. One who has such vision of life, he is called learned. He is called learned. Not by educational qualification. One who has acquired phalena parichyati. Education is understood. How far a man is educated? By his behavior, by his vision of life, it will be estimated. Not by the degrees. Atmavat sarvabhuteshu japashyati sapana. Similarly, here also, the word Pandita, Pandita has been used. So I have just given you some explanation of Pandit from different angle of vision. And Buddha also. Buddha, in the Bhagavad Gita you will find the definition of Buddha. Buddha means well-versed. Well-versed. Well-versed means who has got studied lots of books of knowledge. He is called Buddha. Now, how one becomes Buddha? By studying, one should have concluded this. What is that conclusion? That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhava. Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate iti matya bhajanti mang buddha bhava samannita. The well-versed person is he who has understood that Krishna is the original fountainhead of all emanations. All emanations. Whatever we see, they are all emanations from Krishna. That is the one who has understood this fact, this transcendental fact. He is well versed. Buddha. Aham sarvasya prabhava. Matta sarvam pravartate. And everything is coming out of me, just like the sunshine is coming out of the sun. Nobody knows for how many years, how millions and millions of years, the sunshine is coming out of the sun. But still the sun is still as it is. Similarly, all the energies, the material energy, spiritual energy, lower energy, higher energy, everything is coming out of Krishna. So one who has understood this science, the Krishna science, Buddha Bhava Samana, then what he becomes, his science that he has understood, what is the sign that he has understood? He becomes a devotee of Krishna. He becomes completely Krishna consciousness. That is the sign of being well versed. And this is the sign of becoming the Pandita, the learned. Pandita, learned. So, yasya sarvi samarambha kama sankalpa varjita jnanagni dagdha karmana tamahu panditang buddha. One who is learned enough, one who has got this knowledge that we have to work in Krishna consciousness, and he has no more lust to enjoy this material world. One who has no more lust, kama sankalpa burjita. Everything what we do in this material world, we have got a determination that I shall enjoy the fruits of this work like this, the fruits of that work in that way. That is called kama sankalpa. Determination of lust. So one is free from such lust. Kama sankalpa bhajjita. And how it is possible? Jnanagni dagdha karmana. Jnanagni, just like a fire. Fire burns anything which you put into this. Similarly, one who has developed this sense, the real knowledge that my life's mission is only to go back to Krishna and become Krishna consciousness. That is the highest type of knowledge. That's just like fire. So in that fire of highest type of knowledge, all lust is burnt aside. Kamavni dagda, tamahu pandita buddha, and he is the learned, he is well versed. That is the explanation of this Bhagavad Gita. And let us stop here. If there is any question, you can put.
If you're rich, are you saying if you're rich, you get knowledge easier?
No. I said that by your pious work, you get 4 results. By your pious work, because every work, we are just today discussing what is real work and what is the reaction of the work and what is not, to say prescribed work. These things we have discussed. Now, so far the pious work, which is called, in Sanskrit language, which is called punya karma, we get 4 results. 4 kinds of results. By pious work, we get very good birth. Good birth means to take one's birth in aristocratic family or in rich family. That is materially concerned very good birth. So by pious work, one can become a good birth, can get his birth in a good family, and he can become a rich man. Just like in this world we see somebody is working very little but is gaining much. Another body is working very hard the whole day, still he is not getting much. Why? Because due to his pious work, he is getting very easily riches. So richness is also result of pious work. And similarly, one student is becoming very quickly a scholar, another he cannot. So this is also result of pious work. Similarly, beauty is also due to pious work. I discussed this. And what was your point?
More wisdom quicker, or it's more come by if you have a lot of money?
Not necessarily. I don't say that. That is different thing. But richness is due...
I understand what you said before.
Yeah. Not necessarily because a man is very rich, therefore he has got a very good brain also. No, not necessarily. Neither good brain can produce richness. If there is one man, is very intelligent man, but in the field of activities, he remains a poor man. So neither intelligence is the cause of richness, nor richness is the cause of intelligence. These are two different things. But if one is pious, he is, as reaction of his pious act, he becomes rich, he becomes wealthy, he becomes beautiful, he becomes learned. These things are stated in the scriptures. Janma Ishadya Sutasri. Janma Ishadya, four things. Janma Ishadya Sutasri. Janma means birth, Ishadya means richness, and Suta means education. Is that point clear?
That's it. That's we're gonna hear all the time. Like it? I don't like it. I don't like it.
Is that point clear? Please, here, stop. Don't talk. We are talking seriously, don't disturb. Is that point clear?
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Any other question?
I see.
If one is really pious, why should he care about materialistic things?
Yeah.
If one is pious, why he should...
Why should he care about things that usually not?
Oh.
No, I don't.
So war is not always impious. Do you understand? Sometimes war, fighting, so far the Vedic conception of life is concerned, there are four classes. The intelligent class, the administrative class, the mercantile class. Not only Vedic religion, this division is all over the world. There are four classes of men. So for administrative class of men, it is a duty to protect the weak. Sometimes law and order requires violence. That's why the government maintains military, police force, because sometimes they are required. So when government employs some police force and military force, that does not mean impious. That is required. Similarly, fighting or violence is not always impious. But a responsible person, he does not take violence unnecessarily. He considers things very nicely, and when there is no other alternative than to use violence, then he uses violence. Just like the government sometimes takes violence on the citizens. It is not the objective of the government to